Before I show you what I've got here, and I'm going to share my screen and kind of walk you through what this process looks like, I just wanted to explain kind of my story. Some of you are probably somewhat familiar with it on how I arrived at where I'm at today and why I am implementing the systems that I have for my businesses. So many of you probably have seen me at some point posting fishing content over the last several years. I've grown large social media brands around fishing, and I started in 2017 posting on YouTube. I grew a YouTube channel to 150,000 subscribers, and a Facebook page is at like 450,000 followers right now. And I got a lot of attention. I don't know what my total view count would be at this point, but it's extremely high. I mean, if you added it all up, I mean, we're probably pushing a billion, if not, well over that between all of my platforms and all the views that I've gotten over the last 8 years. And so with that level of attention, I kind of learned some lessons the hard way because I earned money from the platforms themselves, but I wanted to build a business around it because I knew that I didn't own my audience. There's a lot of volatility in earning income from the platforms themselves. So I just kind of assumed that if I had this attention, that I would be able to easily grow businesses. And we did that. We tried and we had success. And I'll explain, what that looked like. But, we did a guide service. I ran beach fishing trips and I promoted that through my channels. And so I was able to monetize that way. We launched Beach Bum Outdoors. But what I learned in this process, growing these, launching businesses and growing businesses, and I had sponsorships and I was promoting different products from time to time, and we'd have different offers. And what I would notice is I had this attention and I could post, but what it was very volatile even still because I would only earn revenue or make sales anytime I made a specific post on social media driving traffic to a thing. And so a very salesy type post on social media, right? So you'd get a big spike. Like if I posted a video about a product or about a service to direct people to, I'd get a spike in sales. And then it would drop and it wouldn't spike back up until I posted another video. There was no consistency with that. So that lesson pushed me into a new direction of, well, how can I own my audience that's very interested in what I have to offer and my core audience? How can I own that and be able to market to them more consistently without relying on constantly having to post content that's trying to sell something all the time? Because that just doesn't work necessarily to build a brand, and people are kind of put off by that from time to time. But also, even the people that are interested in your thing and follow your channels, you still have no control over whether or not they see your content. That's still up to the algorithm. And that can change in a lot of different ways for a lot of different reasons. And it's very unreliable to say, hey, I have this thing to offer, that message is actually going to get put in front of the people that you want it in front of. So that's when I started exploring different options on how do I extract leads. I'm getting the attention. We've had some success making sales. How can this be more consistent so that I'm not just getting these spikes? And so that's what led me to start exploring what I've started implementing for my business today. I started this last year around this time. I think it was in March of last year when I initially started really diving into the back end systems of what it looks like if somebody says, hey, I'm interested in your thing. What does that process look like? And what happens from there? And how do we take that from social media and turn it into a sale? And defining that process. So there's a lot of moving parts to that. I spent several months just learning the tech side of it, which I was very adverse to for a long time because I'm just naturally not a very tech savvy person. But I think this is a flaw in our human mindset from time to time, that we just kind of accept an identity a lot of times that is necessarily not true. in that we just kind of fall back on this like, oh, well, I'm just always late, or, oh, this is just how I am. I relate that to the same way that I approached tech. I was just like, I'm just really bad at tech. Well, that's an identity that I attached to that's not necessarily true. I just never took the time to learn it. And so last year I did take that time and I dove in and I figured out how to make things work together so that systems, when this happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. And I built it across about 6 different platforms. And that was very complex and very time consuming, and it was a headache. There was some coding involved. It got really nerdy there for a while. But towards the end of last year, I refined my systems and I've consolidated that. I've found some programs that allow me to have everything in one place. It's very nice, it's very neat, it's very organized. And I started offering this to other business owners. I started offering this in December of last year to where, hey, I understand the content side. I've been doing that for years. I know what it takes to get attention. I know what it takes to make sales. And now I know what it looks like to build a neat follow-up system that is automated. And so I said, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner, I would offer to build this system for you. And I started that in December, and I currently have 13 clients that I'm working with that are business owners that I'm building their systems for, just like what I'm about to show you today. So just wanted to give you a little bit of background as to why we are here so that it makes a little more sense. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and walk you through what this looks like. Very simple example. There's a lot of complexity that you can add to this, but we're going to keep it real simple for today. Okay. All right. So we're empty here. I wanted to start and just show you, this is my demo account. And I currently have no contacts in here. I deleted all my tests out. So this is empty. This is where your contacts will show. As a user of this account, this is where most people would live. Also, just want to show you that this is empty before we get started as well. This is our opportunities tab. So this is where, like with a CRM, you could build out a pipeline and you can bring people through this, but I'm only showing this to you right now just to show you that we're currently empty. All right, are we seeing that? Brian, I still see you in my little thumbnail. You give me a thumbs up. Perfect. Thank you. All right, so this is a fake landing page. I've got a little fake URL here. And so like you can make this obviously custom on the URL as far as what that would show. So that could be branded around you. But what I want to show you is, let me make sure this, okay. So one of the things that we can track, this, what I'm about to type in here is important. We can track the source. And this is like kind of one of the first things that is important when you're capturing leads is where did these leads come from? And with that information, we can do a lot of things. And I'm going to give you a simple example tonight on what that looks like. But this would be a specific URL that you would use to track the source. And we did this with a client of mine a couple weekends ago. They had a very specific campaign that we built out for a boat show that they were at. And so this was a URL that we attached to, not this particular one, but we used a specific URL that we attached to a QR code. And anybody that came through that QR code got a very specific marketing campaign. And we can use that for as many examples as you can think of if we know the source of a lead or know a little bit of information about it. But this is a landing page, and the difference between a landing page and a website, I get that question a lot, is the landing page is simply just to drive people to do one thing. And we just want them to click a button and give us their information. A website is more like a brochure. It's going to have a lot of different pages, a lot of information on there. But the whole purpose of a landing page is just to drive traffic to do one thing. And generally, we are offering some type of lead magnet. Many of you that are on this call have probably entered into my system because you saw a piece of content that I created and I offered something. I was offering a PDF, or I was offering a free lead intake system. Those are 2 of my lead magnets. Or maybe you came in just through this call, like, hey, I'm going to offer this free demo call to give you some information about how to automate your business. And in exchange for that free thing, we're asking for your information. So your landing page is essentially just backing you up on that information, basically selling it more or less, for you. And it's just going to talk about your lead magnet and the thing that you're offering. But to get people to this landing page, you're simply creating content. Your whole objective, once you have this system in place, is to get people on this page. It doesn't really matter how they come in there, from a QR code. It can be from a live event. It can be from hollering at people on the street. It can be from social media. We can be strategic about how we post content and offer something for free in exchange for people's information. So what they'll do is they'll click this button here and fill out their information. And if you can see, when I click that, this is still coming with me here. This source param equals QR code. That's important. So remember that. I'm going to show you where that shows up and what happens, from this point forward. So this is a fake intake system for my demo account. These are just some basic questions. I have 3. We can ask anything we want, and we can force people to answer those questions if we want to. And then, of course, from here, real simple, going to enter their information. And then click submit. So once they do that, a lot of things just happen from this point forward. So there's a lot of automations that have fired. This is just a simple thank you page. We can put whatever we want here. We can redirect people if we need to. A client of mine, they're really big on getting Instagram followers. So we can redirect, once they click submit, it'll take them right to their Instagram page, and maybe they'll click the follow button. So we can send them wherever we want from here, back to your website if you've got a website, so that they can browse that, or we can give them a little thank you message here, whatever we want to do. So we have a lot of control of that. So this is all right. So this was empty. So you're already seeing the opportunity. So this is one of the automations that fired. It created this card and it dropped it in my pipeline. So this is my sales process example that I have right here. So that's like, as a user, this would be where you would check every day. You'd pull up your system and you would just look and see, hey, did I get any new leads? And where are the leads that I have in the process? This is super easy to use. It's drag and drop. You can just drag it over to each step. Just like any CRM, this is nothing fancy. You can add notes in here for whatever you need to. It tracks the date and who made the note. So like, if you've got several people involved in your business and they all have different logins, you can see who made the note when they made, basic CRM stuff. But this operates as your CRM. We build that for you so that we can define that sales process and keep track of where your leads are. Very important. For my personal business, this is instrumental. Like, it keeps up of every conversation that I have with people. I always make notes. You have to be diligent about, updating it if you are doing, in-person calls or something like that. But this is very vital to being successful in business. But the contact was created, and I'm going to show you a few things that fired in here automatically, because I built out these automations for all of this to happen when that form is filled out. So an email is automatically sent to the user. So this is what was sent. This is just a generic little email for my demo example. But for my personal business, that initial email that fires is delivering the lead magnet. So whatever we decide on to offer to people, whether that be a discount code or a PDF or information or a video, whatever it is that we're giving in exchange for the information, we can automatically have that sent to them. So of course you're not doing it. And so that email is automatically fired. This is letting me know that that opportunity was created in there, so that's showing up on the card. Also, this was empty, so it created this contact because this is the email address that I'm using as the owner of this account. And so it created that contact because it sent an email out to that email address. And this is just letting me know that, hey, you got a lead. So this would go to the business owner saying, hey, you got a lead here, and here's their answers to the questions on the form. Here's their contact information. You need to reach out. You can get real fancy with all of this. I just built today lead scoring for a client that's a real estate agent, where we associated, they have 6 questions, and I think it was 27 different potential answers from all those questions. We can build out scoring, so we can associate a number to each answer to the question based on like how hot a prospect is, and we can deliver that information in this email, so it can give them that score, and then a score chart, like if it's over 45, this is a hot lead. If it's less than 15, it's cold. And you can even have the system follow up automatically for you. That's what I do in my personal business. I have a lead scoring set up in my back end that if somebody doesn't necessarily qualify for what I'm offering, I don't, it'll still follow up with them. So they're getting the touch points, but I don't necessarily have to do it. Right. So like the system's going to send them, contact. So it's not like I'm ignoring them, but I don't have to physically make phone calls or send an email or do anything. I'm only following up with people that filter through that scoring process, if that makes sense. Anyway, that's getting a little bit more fancy there, but we have a lot of opportunity with the information that we can gain. So this is, that's no tags here because that's the owner of the account. But these are all the tags, and I'm going to show you why this is important here in a second. So these are all the tags that were generated for that contact. So these are the answers to those questions. This was the fact that they filled out that particular form, because depending on how we structure your business, you may have multiple forms. You may have multiple entry points. So this is only one, but we know it's that quiz. So we can associate that and know that that's how this contact entered our system. And if you remember that URL, this was nothing that the user had to do, but we got this little source QR code tag because of the URL that we associated with that. The specific URL at the end, or that little piece at the end. And I built this account, this demo account. There's only 3 of these. I have a QR code, I have a Facebook, and I have a website. So like depending on whatever I put at the end, if I put QR code at the end, it's going to give me that tag. If I put Facebook at the end, it's going to give me the Facebook tag. Or if I put website at the end, it's going to put website. That's an endless number of things. So if you're spending, the purpose of that is if you're spending money on marketing or efforts on marketing, that we can know where it comes from. Or if we need to be very specific about a campaign based on an event or where that's coming from, we can be specific about what happens next. Okay. So let me show you what I did here just to give you an example of what this looks like. So again, all of that fired automatically. We had the internal notification go to the owner, the immediate email go out to the user that filled it out. This is just an example campaign that I created. This is very basic, but this triggers and is fired based on a contact getting this tag. So now that I know that this came in through the URL, they got the automatic email that fires immediately. They show up in my CRM. They get this tag, the source QR code based on that URL. It drops them in this campaign. So I know that they came specifically from that QR code from whatever event or whatever example we want to give. And we can build out a custom campaign to follow up with this person over the course of however long we decide. So right now you can see this is me sitting right here. This is the information that I filled out just now on that form. And it's going to wait 2 days, and I can, obviously we're in complete control of that. We can wait as many days as we want, or hours or minutes. We have complete control here, but I just put an example of 2 days. So it's waiting 2 days. It's going to sit here for 2 days. And then after that, it's going to drop to this next thing. It's going to send them another email. Now, I don't have anything in here, but of course we can build this email however we want, whatever messaging we need to put in there. And, all the things. And then after that, we got another wait period. So they'd drop in here, they'd wait another 5 days. And then we can send them a text message. And then, or another email or whatever. So now, because we have that information on that client, on how they entered that system, we can build out however we need to the information on that, or the campaign for that. So again, all of that happened. The tags, the creation in your CRM, the automatic email, the internal notification, the campaign that they get dropped in, is you did nothing. They filled out a form that you directed them to from your social media. Now you own the contact information. So now you're building a list. So now, hey, we've got this contact that we now own. We've got their information. This list, as time goes on, of course, just gets bigger and bigger. And of course, it's very simple. You can do individual email campaigns. These I drop these every so often. It's like I think of something one day and I'm like, oh, I need to send my list an email about this thing, and I can come in here and I can create a campaign. And because my leads are segmented based on how they came into the system, what lead magnets they came in from, what answers to the questions they asked, I can be very specific about the people that get the email that I want them to get. If there's something that I need to send a message to, and I just come in here and I can create a campaign and I can build out an email and send that to them. It's very powerful. And that's how we drive traffic, drive sales, market more consistently. If you would like to learn about how this works specifically for your business, like if you want to kind of talk through some examples of things that would be helpful for you specifically, I did put a link in the comments down below. You can click that. That's my calendar. You can book a time to hop on a call with me, and I'd be happy to talk to you privately about your business and how this can work for you. I did also send out an email that you should have that'll have a link to my calendar as well if you don't get a chance to click this little link down here. But if you guys don't have any questions, I'll go ahead and wrap it up. I'll close it out. But yeah, thank y'all for hopping on, and hopefully that was somewhat helpful for you.